You are now listening to She Hacked the Meeting. He Let Her Stay, a full billionaire romance audiobook.
Chapter 1. Get in. Don't get caught. They told me I'd never make it past security. They weren't wrong. I didn't make it past security. I walked right through it. The lobby of Weston Global HQ felt less like a place of business and more like the prologue to a power struggle. Tall glass walls, chrome finishes, the scent of filtered air, and two expensive suits. Everyone walked like their time was too important to waste on breathing, especially the woman behind the reception desk, who looked up at me like I might ask her to fetch coffee. Name? Amara Shah, I said smoothly. I'm here for my 9:30 with Mr. Weston. A pause. The kind that stretches just long enough to challenge you. Then she tapped her keyboard. The tension in her jaw told me exactly what I needed to know. I wasn't on the list. Perfect. She blinked. I'm not seeing anything under. I leaned in, just enough. It's internal. He'll want to take this. She didn't move, didn't pick up the phone. She stared at me like she knew I was bluffing, but wasn't sure whether she wanted to be the one to call me on it. Then she reached for the intercom, mumbled something about an urgent contact. Her tone had changed. Curious now. Cautious. Exactly what I wanted. She told me to take the express elevator to 37, that the CEO's assistant would meet me there. Not that I was surprised. I knew Damon Weston's reputation. Brilliant, brutal, private. The kind of man who didn't speak unless he needed to crush or close. What I didn't know, what no one knew, was what he'd do when someone used his name to force a meeting he never scheduled. I wasn't sure if I was about to get sued. But if I was right, if he really was bleeding inefficiencies from the West Coast Logistics Center, he wouldn't throw me out. He'd listen, and then I'd make him remember me. The elevator doors closed around me. My reflection in the glass was calm. Hair curled just enough, lipstick sharp, expression carved from purpose. No one needed to know that my heart was thudding like it was auditioning for a panic attack. I didn't believe in begging. I believed in forcing doors open until they couldn't be closed again. 37 floors later, the door opened to a blonde woman in a navy pencil dress who looked like she could crush a deal and a man's ego in one sentence. You're not on his schedule. I will be, I said. Tell him it's about the AI system in Tacoma. She narrowed her eyes, but she walked toward the office. 10 seconds later, she came back. 5 minutes. That's generous. Don't waste them. I walked in. The first thing I noticed wasn't the view. It was him. Tall, still, dark hair, a little unruly at the ends. A black suit that didn't need tailoring. It looked like it had been made for him. He didn't look up right away, just signed something. Like the interruption I represented was a mosquito on his morning. Then he looked up, and I understood the stories. His eyes were glacier gray, calm, quiet, terrifying. He looked at me the way a sniper looks at wind direction, calculating how fast to pull the trigger. You have 5 minutes, he said. Impress me. My mouth went dry. My brain, thank God, didn't. I dropped the folder on his desk and started talking. No small talk, no business school pitch voice, just facts. My name is Amara Shah. I built a lightweight logistics optimization AI designed to shave off 12 to 18% in cross-regional distribution costs. Your Tacoma center is bleeding cash from reroutes and deadstock lag. My model fixes it in real time using on-site adaptive learning and predictive reshuffling. I paused. He didn't blink, so I kept going. Most platforms over-index global efficiencies. Mine focuses on micro-shift pattern prediction. It's smart. It's scalable, and it doesn't need a 12-month integration cycle. He watched me like I was a particularly interesting chessboard. Let me guess, he said finally. You found this problem, built the solution, and now you want me to fund it. I don't want your money, I said. I want your distribution centers. He raised an eyebrow. That's bold. That's accurate. Silence. Then he said, you're solving a problem I haven't even announced exists. That's what I do. Either you're brilliant, he said, or you've been spying on me. I smiled. Can it be both? Something flickered across his face. A smirk. Almost. Then it vanished. He closed the folder. My assistant will reach out. For what? To see what else you're good at. Then he went back to his desk. Like I hadn't just broken every rule in corporate etiquette. Like he was already planning the next move. And I walked out, on legs made of steel and nerves made of glass. But I didn't stumble. Not once. because I'd just pitched one of the most powerful men in the country. And he'd said yes. I didn't expect a call. People like Damon Weston didn't chase things. They observed, they tested, and when you proved useful enough, they let you orbit them like a second moon. So when the message came in, brief, sharp, and signed by his assistant, I wasn't surprised. I was, however, suspicious. Weston Global had a logistics crisis in Tacoma. I'd guessed as much. What I didn't know was that the problem wasn't isolated. They were bleeding efficiency across 3 major hubs, and instead of burying it in quarterly footnotes, he was quietly testing consultants who could fix it. Testing me. Which is how I ended up standing in the middle of a warehouse the size of a football field, staring at half-broken scanners, inconsistent inventory, and a team of night shift employees who looked like they hadn't had a proper systems upgrade since 2019. And none of that surprised me. What surprised me was how quickly I knew what to do. Within 30 minutes, I had the shift lead's trust. Not because I smiled or played nice, but because I asked questions no one had ever bothered to ask them. By hour 2, I was writing custom back-end patches on my own device while someone handed me a half-warm sandwich and told me I worked faster than the last 3 contractors combined. That's when I felt it. Someone watching me. I turned, half expecting a supervisor, or worse, Weston's legal team ready to revoke my building pass. But it was him. Standing in the shadows near the observation mezzanine, sleeves rolled, jacket off, watching me like I was a chessboard he hadn't figured out yet. I didn't stop working. I didn't run over to debrief. I just kept talking to the lead and made sure Weston saw what I wanted him to see. Not charm, not pitch, execution. After a while he came down, no introduction. Just walked straight into the workflow like he owned the oxygen in the building. I stood, wiping dust off my hands, trying not to notice how well his shirt fit under warehouse light. "You're not afraid to get your hands dirty," he said. "Clean hands don't build systems. Soft, they just approve them." He said nothing, but there was something in his expression. Curious, maybe. Less controlled than I expected. He walked over to a terminal, looked at the screen I'd reprogrammed. "You patched the sync?" It was calling outdated variables. Took 3 minutes once I got the syntax right. He gave me a look. Not approval. Respect. I felt it. It buzzed louder than praise. "That's the 3rd time in a week I've had to fix someone else's mistake," I added. He leaned on the desk. "Let me guess. You're one of those people who doesn't believe in failure." "No, I just believe in getting there faster than everyone else." He nodded once, then pushed off the table and started walking away. "Come with me." It wasn't a request. We ended up in a nearby office. It was quiet, sleek, empty. Dust on the desk told me it hadn't been used in weeks. Weston leaned against the window frame, arms crossed. "I read your proposal again," he said. "It's smarter than most teams I've hired." "You sound surprised." "I'm not." I waited. "I am curious, though," he continued. "What's your angle?" "My angle?" "You walked into my building without permission, pitched me without an appointment, and now you're standing here rewriting code that my internal teams haven't touched in 2 quarters. You want something. What is it?" I took a breath. Time to be honest. "Access," I said. "I want to prove my system works inside real infrastructures, not demos, not labs, real operations, and you have the biggest sandbox." His eyes didn't move from mine. "And if I say yes, then I help you stop bleeding 6 figures a week. And if I say no, then I publish the data with another name." A pause. He smiled. It was small, brief, dangerous. "You're confident." "I'm right." He stepped forward, closer than I expected, not invading, just present. "You don't scare easy." I didn't flinch. "No," I said. "Do you?" Something changed in his face then. Not softening. Not exactly. More like recalibrating. "I'll have the legal team draft a limited integration pilot," he said. I blinked. Just once. "Thank you," I said. He nodded, as if dismissing me. But as I walked to the door, he said something I didn't expect. "Amara." I stopped. "Next time you fake a meeting with me," he said without turning around, "make it a breakfast one. I hate skipping coffee." Back at my flat that night, I sat on my floor, surrounded by tangled charging cables and 4 prototype notebooks, staring at the ceiling like it might offer clarity. I'd done it. I'd hacked the system, not with tech, but with presence. And yet, the only thing I could think about wasn't the win. It was the look on his face when I told him I wasn't afraid. because I wasn't. But I also wasn't ready for what that meant. Damon Weston wasn't a client anymore. He was a variable, a powerful, unpredictable, fascinating variable. And I just invited him into my equation. When his assistant emailed me with the subject line, strategy dinner, internal alignment, I almost laughed. Internal alignment? That was the most Damon Weston way of inviting someone to dinner without actually inviting them to dinner. I stared at the message a little longer than I should have. Then I clicked accept. I'd spent the last 2 weeks inside 3 different Weston Global Centers, Tacoma, Sacramento, and Jersey City, helping install my micro-adaptive modules. Each site was a mess in its own unique flavor. And each time I fixed something, I felt his eyes on the reports. He didn't hover. He didn't praise. He just kept giving me access. That was Weston's version of trust. And now he wanted alignment. Fine, I could align. But I wasn't dressing up for him. I chose a clean blazer, no makeup except lip tint and sensible boots. Strategic, professional, neutral. It wasn't a date. It was never a date. Until I walked into the restaurant and saw the table. Just 2 chairs, a private booth. Candlelight, discreet but not accidental. A sommelier, for God's sake. And there he was. Damon Weston. No tie. Dark shirt. Understated watch. The kind of man who could turn a dinner reservation into a diplomatic mission without raising his voice. He stood when he saw me. Polite, controlled, just enough warmth in his eyes to feel like fire under ice. Amara, he said, you're early. Force of habit. I like that. I sat. The table was already set for 2. He ordered whiskey. I asked for sparkling water. And then, silence. Not awkward, not empty, just quiet. He didn't fill it with flattery or false interest. He waited. So I made the first move. You don't do small talk, do you? He smiled. I find it inefficient. Even for internal alignment? Especially then. I nodded. Fine. Then let's get to it. He gestured. By all means. Tacoma's shift migration is 3 weeks behind. Jersey City's loss tracking is buried under legacy codes no one has dared to touch. Sacramento's sensors are 10 years obsolete, and your internal logistics model is trying to predict 2025 conditions with 2017 data inputs. He raised an eyebrow. And I've fixed half of it in 8 days. His eyes held mine. You want recognition. I want progress. I can't build on sand. He nodded, slowly. You've done more in 2 weeks than our last in-house team did in 6 months. I know. You also didn't ask permission for any of it. I know that too. And I didn't stop you. That gave me pause. No client, no exec, no investor had ever said that out loud. He saw my reaction and added, control isn't always clean, Amara. Sometimes it looks like knowing who not to get in the way of. Something in my chest shifted. Is that what this is? I asked. You getting out of my way? He leaned forward. No, this is me learning how you move. My breath caught, not because it was flirtation, but because it wasn't. It was something deeper. He was studying me, not to manipulate, not to own, to understand. The waiter came with food I didn't remember ordering. We ate in silence again, but this time it was layered. I watched him cut his steak with precision. He watched me pick apart my salad with surgical calm. You always move this fast? He asked. You always watch this closely? Another pause. He said, you remind when I used to know. Let me guess. Someone brilliant, driven, terrifying? No, he said. Someone honest. It's rare. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't. I just looked at him. Let the weight of that silence settle between us. You still haven't asked why I invited you here, he said. Because I already know. And? You wanted to see if the person who rebuilt your operations in 2 weeks was just smart or strategic. He gave a slow, thoughtful nod. And which one are you? I took a sip of water. Let the bubbles carry the silence. Both? His mouth twitched like it wanted to smile but thought better of it. He leaned back. The light caught the edge of his jaw. Then here's what I want, he said. I want your system in 5 more centers. Full access. Integrated pilots. And I want you leading it. I blinked. He was offering scale, ownership, maybe even permanence. You trust me with that much? No, he said. I respect what happens when I let you do what you're good at. Trust comes later. That startled a real smile out of me. It startled something else too. Admiration. And God help me, interest. The bill came. He didn't ask if we were splitting it, just paid. Like it was a done deal. Like he'd already decided I was worth the investment. I stood to leave. He walked me outside. The night was cool, clean. London felt less intimidating when the streetlights softened the edges. I turned to him. "Thank you," I said, "for dinner and the pilot." He looked at me, long and deliberate, then said, "I'm not the kind of man people thank. Maybe that's the problem." He didn't argue. He just stood there and watched me walk away. It came in a sleek envelope, thick cream cardstock, embossed logo, no return address. That kind of envelope doesn't carry a message. It carries a move. I opened it with the side of a pen, carefully like it might bite. Inside was a single sheet of paper, crisp, centered, professionally brutal. A consulting offer from one of Weston Global's top competitors, the kind that doesn't reach out unless they've already decided you're worth stealing. My name, my system, my potential, all laid out like a trophy on paper. They didn't just want to hire me. They wanted to acquire me. No restrictions, no bureaucracy, no gradual scale. They were offering me a lead strategist position, a custom-built division, full autonomy, and a number. 8 figures. I stared at the decimal and didn't move. Then I folded the paper, tucked it away, and didn't tell anyone. Not yet. That afternoon, I was at the Midtown distribution hub. Damon had given me full system access a week earlier, and my modules were starting to teach themselves. And I was doing what I always did when I felt off balance, working too fast and too hard to let anything catch up. I was sitting in the operations office with 3 monitors running inventory predictions when the door opened. I didn't need to turn around. I already knew it was him. "Busy?" he asked. "Always." He stepped inside, closed the door behind him. "I've been reading your field reports," he said casually, like he hadn't read them 3 times already. "And they're precise, relentless. You sound surprised." "I'm not," he said. "I'm wondering what you want." I turned then, met his eyes. "What do you mean?" "Amara, you could build this on your own. You could take that system and walk into half the Fortune 500. So why are you still here?" That was the moment I should have told him, that I'd been offered everything I thought I wanted and more. But I didn't, because I didn't want him to think I was weighing him against a paycheck, even if that's what it looked like. "I'm still testing," I said instead. "Your team, your infrastructure, my code." "And me?" he asked, voice lower. I didn't answer, because anything I said would have been too honest, too dangerous. He nodded slowly, like he understood anyway. "Join me for a walk," he said. Not a command, an invitation. We walked outside. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows between the trucks and loading docks. "I know you got an offer," he said after a while. I stopped, turned. "You read my email?" "No, but I'm not an idiot. You're too visible now, too effective. Of course someone tried to poach you." I stayed quiet. He looked at me, expression unreadable. "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know." "That's not a no." "No," I said. "It's a maybe. The kind that doesn't go away just because someone looks at you like they already know your answer." Something flickered in his eyes. Not anger, not even disappointment. Something quieter. Vulnerability. He stepped closer. "I'm not gonna beg," he said. "I wouldn't respect you if you did. But I will tell you this," he added. "I built this company by trusting patterns, data, outcomes. You're the first variable I haven't wanted to control." I blinked. He went on. "You push, you question. You do things I wouldn't dare let anyone else try. And still, I haven't stopped you. That should terrify me." "Does it?" "No," he said. "It makes me want to see what happens next." We stood there, caught in a silence that wasn't really silent. My heart was louder than anything. He reached out just slightly, like he was about to touch my arm, but stopped short. "I want you to stay," he said, "but only if it's your choice." Then he turned, walked back inside, and left me there, with too many thoughts and one decision I suddenly hated having to make. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my apartment floor with the envelope in one hand and my phone in the other. The message was still unread, from the rival firm, their formal onboarding process waiting at the click of a button. I could have pressed it, closed the deal, got the office, the salary, the title, but instead, I deleted the message. And the next morning, I walked into Weston Global headquarters like I belonged there, because somewhere in the chaos of his systems and my code, I realized something. I wasn't building this for a check. I was building it for me, and he just happened to be the one who saw it first. The next Monday started like any other, gray sky, too much coffee, 3 unread messages from logistics teams in Arizona, 2 from India, and one from Damon's assistant, letting me know there was a boardroom on 42 waiting for me at 10 a.m. sharp. I assumed it was a project meeting, a check-in, maybe a status update on the 5-center integration I was now leading, quietly, unofficially, and very effectively. I didn't expect it to be a presentation, and I definitely didn't expect to walk in and see the Weston Global Executive Board seated in full. 12 suits, 3 analysts, 2 senior directors, and one very calm, very unreadable CEO at the head of the table. Damon didn't stand. He didn't smile. He just looked at me and said, "You're late." I wasn't. But I got the message. "Amara," he said, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. "The floor is yours." I sat down and waited. He passed me a folder. Inside was a single page, headed with a Weston Global internal project code I didn't recognize. "Congratulations," he said evenly. "You've been granted operational leadership over a new division, R&D, Predictive Logistics AI. We're absorbing your system as a proprietary asset, and we're naming you its architect." My throat dried, not because I was surprised, but because of what wasn't written on the page. There was no NDA clause, no ownership handoff, no fine print claiming everything I'd built as his. He was giving it back to me, letting me keep it, inside his empire. I looked up. "This isn't standard policy." "No," he said. "It's not. Why?" He didn't look away. "Because I trust you." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was reverent. I didn't say thank you because this wasn't a favor. It was respect, signed and sealed. I nodded. "Then I'll make sure you don't regret it." He smirked. I'd expect nothing less. We walked out of the boardroom together, side by side. When the elevator doors opened, I didn't step in. I turned to him. "You're not going to say it, are you?" "Say what?" "That this is more than business now." He looked at me carefully. "You want me to make a speech?" "I want you to stop pretending you don't look at me like I'm both your best decision and your worst idea." There was a long pause. Then he said, low and clear, "I don't believe in worst ideas. I believe in calculated risks. And me? You," he said, stepping closer, "are the variable I didn't expect. The one I can't optimize around. The one I don't want to." There was nothing left to say after that. So I closed the distance, and for the first time, I kissed him. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't polished or sweet or gentle. It was honest, grounded, real, like everything we'd built, slowly, fiercely, carefully. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "I hope you know," he said quietly, "you're not the only one who is building something." I do now. 3 months later, we weren't just a project. We were a division, a force. And quietly, something neither of us named, but both of us chose every day. He still challenged me. I still refused to back down. We weren't a power couple. We were a power equation. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't just building towards success. I was building something that could last, with someone who had the strength to stand beside me. Not above, not behind, beside. Because when brilliance meets power, you don't get rescued, you get recognized. And that was all I ever wanted.
If you enjoy this Billionaire romance audiobook, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting new story. Your support means the world. See you in the next one.